This first case Articles on the Go feature is titled Case Cart Preparation 101 Back to the Basics. Written by Paul Wafer, BS, MBA, RN. What is a procedure case cart? We work with them every single day. They are the raw materials that keep the engines of each operating room going at full speed. But when is the last time you've stopped to really consider the what, where, who, when, and whys of these rolling stainless steel lifesavers? That's the topic we'll cover in this week's article. Prior to a procedure, the surgical preference lists are pulled for the scheduled cases. All of the items on the list should be placed on a rolling case cart in an orderly manner, so that the circulating nurse and the surgical technician can bring the supplies into the procedure room and open them up. At the end of the case, this same cart should be used for transporting either the leftover supplies or the dirty instruments to the appropriate area for further disposition. There are two primary kinds of case carts. Open carts do not confine and contain the items pre- or post-operatively. This means that it's possible for someone in a hurry to find a supply on an already prepared cart and take it. Additionally, at the end of the case, it's difficult to confine and contain dirty instruments on an open cart. We frequently see hospitals not in compliance with this recommended practice from AORN. There are disposable plastic enclosure bags that can be used for this purpose and should be implemented if this is your current process. Closed carts are typically made like a rolling cabinet with a door that closes and multiple shelves inside. There are a number of shapes and sizes available, and they should be selected based on the types of cases performed at the facility, the available space for carts, the ability to clean the carts, and the preference of the staff that use them. A plastic lock or seal can be placed on them to identify if they've been opened, and they more easily confine and contain dirty instruments. Where do case carts live? It's important to plan where these case carts will be built and stored prior to the procedure, transported and cleaned after the procedure, and stored until used again. Prior to the procedure, the case cart may need to go to multiple locations to be filled properly. There are some departments that have a large center core where all supplies and instruments are kept. In this situation, it's a straightforward operation of going through the core and picking all the items on the preference list. In many hospitals, the packs and routine supplies might be in central supply, the generic instrument sets in SPD, and the specialty trays and supplies might be in the OR. In this scenario, the cart may end up going through 3 different areas and be filled by 3 or more people over 1 or more days. Once filled, the carts will need a staging area so that they can be easily transported to the procedure rooms where cases will occur. Since most ORs have less storage space than desired, this can become a major challenge while ensuring that you are not breaking any fire codes. Depending on location, you may need to have a designated person transport the case carts to rooms through the day. We suggest having the cart for the next case staged just outside the OR so that there's no downtime. Subsequent case carts can be brought to the room as the prior cart is brought in for the next procedure. After the case, if the cart is used to transport dirty instruments, it should be sent to SPD and cleaned, whether through an automated cart washer or manually wiped down and cleaned with disinfectant. It should then be stored for use on another case. If the cart is used to transport clean supplies back to the supply location, it should be emptied, wiped with a disinfectant wipe, and stored for subsequent use. Who is responsible for case carts? Frequently, we see facilities that ask their nurses and technicians to fill the case carts in between cases, or at the end of their day when the room finishes. This system can be fraught with problems. For example, on busy days, there may be no one available to pick cases, which can lead to overtime or delays in the timely start of cases. This can be very costly to an organization and also leads to inconsistency in the way cases are picked. We recommend a dedicated person or persons whose role includes picking the entire case cart for each case. This person does not have to have patient care experience and can be at a lower salary level than an RN or tech. They should be detail-oriented and have good critical thinking skills. As long as the preference lists are well maintained, you can get a consistently good product from the case cart personnel. We generally call them core techs or case cart techs. When should the case carts be built? We have been at facilities who start picking their cases up to 2 days in advance. Generally, they do this to ensure that they do not run out of supply inventory or have time to get more in before the case. From our perspective, this tells us there is poor planning and possibly an inventory management issue at the facility. Additionally, this means that each case cart will be touched a minimum of 2 times or more because they likely cannot add instruments 2 days in advance. We believe that the best and most efficient way to provide case carts is to build them in a just-in-time method. This means that the carts for the first and second cases of the day are built the night before. Early the next morning, typically 4 or 5 a.m., the core techs come in and place the first carts in the room, put the second outside the room, and then start building the carts for the to-follow cases for the rest of the day. The number of core techs and the time they come in will be dependent on the number of rooms and the number of cases for the day. Why is case cart strategy important? Case carts literally contain the information and supplies necessary to conduct surgery. Their importance is evident, and yet many facilities overlook this simple process and instead decide to live with the challenges of a broken case cart system on a daily basis. This doesn't have to be your story. To kickstart your case cart strategy, we recommend a daily huddle to review the surgery schedule several days in advance and determine if there is an unusual number of cases that require the same resources. If that occurs, you should have sufficient time to order in additional inventory to meet the increased demand. These kinds of conversations will then ripple out to give opportunity to discuss the entire case cart process, from preference lists to picking schedules and beyond. That'll do it for this week's article. As always, thanks for listening to this episode of First Case Articles on the Go.